Hi, everybody out there in Creeptastic land. We are here tonight joined by Alissa Williams and Britt Kilpatrick. They are the hosts of the podcast Skeletales. And how many are you up to now? I know it's quite a bit. How many episodes?
We just recorded 69, episode number 69. So, yeah, I know. It's crazy. And we do it. So we release them once a week. So we've been doing it for, over a year now.
Wow. So I don't know, you and Britt know each other, right? From your younger days or something? You've known each other for quite a while?
Yeah, I think we were in our 20s, early 20s when we first met, back when we both lived in Colorado.
Oh, okay. And you always both knew you each liked creepy stuff?
No.
No, actually not at all. Like if I were to recall my memory of Britt and creepy stuff, it's her like running, screaming from like a haunted house, like a Halloween one. And it's like totally, I just laugh. I think they're funny and they're just so ridiculous, scared out of her mind, just screaming the whole time. So no, I definitely
easily.
Yeah. I don't think I knew that.
How did it come about then? How did you decide to do this together?
Well, as we got older, we just got more into it. And it's one of those topics that I think because I am such a scaredy cat, I'm really fascinated by it. And same with Alissa. And I've had experiences before that have sort of made me more curious. And so with Alissa, talking about it, then, and I don't know, it just sort of fell into place as like a topic that we're both really into.
Yeah. Well, I had a very strange thing happen at one point, and Britt had texted me and asked if she could tell somebody else about it. And a podcast, a true crime podcast, My Favorite Murder, if you've heard of it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So I didn't know, I'd never heard of it. And then I kind of didn't know that, I didn't feel like I felt like a creep if I listened to those sorts of things, even though I was fascinated. I was
you're a secret murderer.
Yes, exactly. Or just it was weird to find it interesting. And so then Britt completely validated all interest. I was like, oh my God, you're into that. So I think that's what the clue. I was like, oh, Britt likes this sort of stuff. I'm not, alone in this. So yeah. And then from there, it just kind of grew. And then she's seen ghosts and stuff. So I didn't know that. I had no idea that she had experiences and encounters.
Well, we will get into that then, because I want to hear all about it.
Sure.
So Alissa was made to do this with me at the same time. That was a course we both took a little over a year ago.
Oh yeah.
And that's how I first met her online,
Yeah.
And I could tell we had some things in common right away. It was the humor or the ghost thing or what it was. But and then, so did you even know, that was one of the things that came out of Made to Do This, that some people started doing podcasts. Was that something you had in mind already, or that just came up during that?
Yeah, I think I'd already had it in mind. I just love podcasts. I go for walks, and it just made everything more interesting to me. Cleaning the house, doing the dishes. I had a podcast on, and I just I don't know. I always I'm oh, I want to do one of these. I think that I love the idea of just listener stories, because that's what was happening. I would listen to podcasts, but then it would almost be a very similar topic in all the podcasts I listened to. They would all cover the Great Molasses Flood, or, so I was I kind of want something fresh. It would be, and I was just fascinated by just strange occurrences and stuff. So I think I already had an idea that this would be cool, but I don't know. I didn't know how to start a podcast or anything. And so I think at that point I was I'm going to do it. I'm going to dive in.
And you did, you just dove right in, right? You weren't probably even sure exactly what was happening or how to do it. I did the one for the Creeptastics, it was an assignment one week to do one.
Yeah.
Or, set it up or whatever.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And we did one, and then nothing ever came out of it. But maybe some other time. But
yeah,
not yet.
It's fun. I love hanging out with Britt. I think if I was trying to do it alone, I don't know if I'd still be going. I'll be honest.
Yeah, we
Like,
keep each other motivated for sure.
Exactly.
Yeah, it gives somebody to be kind of held accountable to.
Right.
Totally.
You don't want to be like, oh, I can't do it this week. I'm too tired. And they-
Mhm.
Yeah, that's usually Britt texting me. Hey, when are we recording? When are we recording? And mostly it's the editing. Honestly, I don't mind. Like, but with Britt, it's just we sit down and we like usually chat for like an hour and a half before we start recording. We're like, we should probably actually record.
11:30. We should probably start recording.
Yeah.
And
So-
I mean, what a great way for you guys to stay in touch, right? Compared to
totally.
just texting or whatever. You get to actually
Absolutely.
see each other. So you do it over a Zoom, or do you do it on some other platform, or?
We'll record on Zoom, but then we're also recording remotely. So the audio that you hear when you listen to the episode has been recorded remotely with the microphone. And so the audio quality is going to be a lot better than like the Zoom one.
Right.
And then Alissa does her magic with the editing. And but whenever we're recording, we'll Zoom so I can see her face. And it really makes a difference, like being able to like see her reactions when I'm telling a freaky story. It helps.
It is. Yeah. We threaten eventually to maybe put some of the video online, but that's just more editing. That's my big block right now. I'm like, oh, more editing. I can't.
Well, that's why I was going to ask if you guys have a YouTube channel or anything of it.
We are mere moments away from starting our Patreon, which will have videos there to watch. I think we'll probably at first just keep them there to because right now we don't have any sponsors, so that'll just be our way to like be able to run the podcast with having some financial, benefit from it, not be in the red all the time.
Yeah.
And we do have a YouTube, and right now it's just audio, but it's not even all the episodes, but I've been trying to like put them up, and it just has like our little logo and stuff on there. Cause apparently people listen to podcasts on YouTube. I don't know, but I was trying to get them up there, and you can get the transcript. This is all I'm like, get into the tech geek stuff. Britt will bring up this idea and she can see me like being like, oh my God, going through the logistics of like, oh my God, the sound, what are we going to do? She's like, don't worry about it. We'll just make it happen.
Let's just do it. We'll just do it.
I need a tech partner. Like it's so complicated. I think I even texted you in the beginning when we were doing that first one for the course or whatever, because I could not understand the audio thing and figure it out. It took me hours and hours just to do that one, hour and a half thing. It was ridiculous.
Yeah, like it gave me shingles in the first like couple of weeks. I got shingles, I think, just from like the stress of it and the time. So it's there's definitely a learning curve. I'm there, and it's pretty automated. It's just the time. It's just the time, and crafting it. It's kind of like a little piece of art each time. Just kind of.
I started putting the Meet the Creeps up on a YouTube channel now. I think I have 5 or 6 maybe up there, but even that is just making like a little intro and outro little video thing or whatever, and then putting it. And I have slow internet, so it takes like 5 hours to load this.
Oh gosh.
It all adds time.
Like,
it all takes time.
That's why I only have like 5 or 6 of them up there, because it takes so much time. But eventually, I'll get them all up there. So, alrighty. So, should we get into some stories that you've heard, or stories that you've had, or anything? Do you want to talk a bit about your personal experiences a little bit?
Sure, I don't mind talking about mine. I think compared to some of the stories that we've told on the podcast, mine are really mundane experiences, but to me, they were a big deal. I started seeing things when I was about 9 years old in a rental house that I grew up in. And it was mostly just like shadows going around corners. And it wasn't like a defined person at that point. And I remember one time going into my parents' room. Actually, it all happened in my parents' room. And hearing my brother asleep in the bed. And so I was like, oh, I'm not going to turn the lights on. He's sleeping. And so I went in, I grabbed the thing I needed. And on my way out, I was like, wait, he's not asleep. I saw him in the living room. What am I hearing? I turn the light on and there's nobody in the room. So that was kind of my first like things happening in my parents' room, those shadows and then the weird breathing and feeling like somebody's in the room.
Did you get scared right away? Like, did you think like freak out, or did you just like, I don't understand what's going on?
Not at all. I didn't, it wasn't even like an eerie feeling. It was just like, oh, there's somebody in the room. It's my brother that's in here. And then when the light turned on, there was nobody there. I was just like, huh, like, I don't know. It just made me think. It didn't make me scared at that point. The one that did frighten me though, I think at this point I was about 14 or 15. We were in a different house at this point, and in my bedroom, I had one of those dressers with a mirror attached to it, and it was at the other end of my bed. So there's my bed, and it's at the other end of the wall. And one night, I wake up in the middle of the night, not sure what woke me up, and I sat up, and I'm looking at myself in the mirror, and I see a man sitting next to my bed staring at me. And so I instantly turned to look and see who's there, and no, nothing's there. And then I look back in the mirror and he is gone. Don't know who that was, don't know what that was, but that really shook me. I was very scared. I did not sleep much that night for sure.
Was it like, do you remember like what he was wearing, or was it a full body and everything, or was it like old timey? Like they always, you know?
I don't remember his outfit, but I do remember that if you know, my memory serves me right, he was probably in his mid 30s to early 40s, which, you know, as a teenager, I was like an old man, but be my age. Then he had darker hair, and I don't remember if he was wearing a hat or not, but I remember just knowing that it was somebody that I didn't recognize. It wasn't like, oh, that's my great grandfather or something. It was, And it
looked like an actual full body person? It didn't look
like I saw details. I don't remember, I don't know what they were wearing, but it was when I looked in the mirror, it was somebody looking at me, a person looking at me. Yeah, it wasn't just a shadow figure, it was somebody.
That's crazy.
I hate that story so much.
I'd freak out.
Yeah, exactly.
Mirrors are already kind of freaky. Like when I don't know if anybody else like will see something move, like as you're looking in the mirror, like, what was that? Like, I don't know. They're kind of creepy.
I don't think that's happened to me.
Oh, okay.
That's just you, Britt.
Yeah, Britt, I've never had that happen either. I don't know. I don't want it to happen. I think like on our podcast, we're definitely on the goofier end of the spectrum. So we'll try to make light of these creepy situations. So I think when you told that story, Britt, didn't we decide it was like Mike, your husband? You're describing her like, and somehow he might have like time traveled and like was creeping on her, and I don't know.
Oh, teenage Britt. What's she look like when she's sleeping?
When she wakes up.
Exactly. Yeah.
And then he's like, oh crap, she's awake.
Oh wow. Yeah, I've never myself, I don't think I've ever experienced anything. If I did, nothing that stuck with me, but I've tried, like I've gone to some haunted places and stuff like that, and I always wanted something to happen, but yet and nothing ever really did. And if there were a few little things that happened, but I'm the skeptic, and I'm like, somebody's like pushing buttons somewhere or making stuff happen, and I don't know. It would take quite a bit to make me really believe.
I think you and Alissa are in the same boat for that. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. Because I'm more of a skeptic. I've definitely had odd things happen that I can't explain, but I want more. I want the full body apparition like Britt has experienced.
Yeah.
But then at the same time, I don't, because I think I would die. I think I'd be too terrified to I also
think that you would probably try to logic your way out of it. You'd be like, well, the sun was setting this direction, and then the window was here, and the reflection there. It just, it made a human figure walking past me.
Yeah. Or you see some of these videos where it's a person, right? And like, I I'm always like, oh, it's probably not real. There's someone edited this. But like if it happened to me and I put a video up and be like, oh my God, you guys look, and then no one would believe me, right? Like, so I try to put myself in other people's shoes. And I know Britt's not crazy. I know Britt believes what she saw, and everyone. So there's that reckoning that I can't, it's like, I believe you, but I also want to see it for myself.
Yeah, I have always still, like, I have friends that had lived in houses that were haunted and had ghosts that they had for years and talk about all this stuff. And it's like, I believe them, but yet I still, for myself, I have to see it.
Yeah. I always enjoy the story where something phenomenal happens and unbelievable, and there's 2 or 3 more like witnesses that are like, and the whole room saw this crazy thing happen, and then it feels more believable when there's more witnesses to it.
Mm-hmm.
Like you and Toothy, because you didn't tell that story. I think you haven't told the one that I thought was the most mind-blowing. The mirror one freaks me out. Yeah.
In the same house as the creepy man watching me, I was a teenager. I think at that point I was 16, and me and my teenage friends were playing hide and go seek in the dark. Half was fun to play hide and seek, also half fun to like cuddle up and like kiss on the couch and stuff. And my boyfriend, who we will call Toothy because he had really large front teeth, and every time we kissed, they like tink together. Tink, tink, so I call him Toothy. But we were cuddling on the couch in the living room. It's dark, and I see a white apparition of a young man walking across the living room. And at that point, I'm closing my eyes. And I'm like, okay, this has to be, just in my head. And then I open him up again, and he's still walking across the living room. And so then I'm like, Toothy, do you see this? Do you see this guy? And he's like, no.
Him to his face?
What's that?
Did you call him Toothy to his face?
No, but I'm not going to say his real name.
I just had to check. Okay, go on. Sorry.
We just recently gave him the nickname because I described to Alissa. Anyways. He didn't see anything, but it was clear as day. And he was wearing old-timey clothes. He was wearing overalls, and he was young in his, I'm going to say also a teenager and taller. And he just like walked through the living room like he was off doing his chores. He didn't recognize me. It was what I know now as a residual spirit that I saw. And I want to say that I saw another one not as clear in that house, but it didn't, stick with me as much as the kid walking across the living room.
I didn't realize Toothy didn't see him. I don't know why I thought Toothy. So he looked and you could see him, and Toothy's eyes were open and he couldn't see him. Oh, that's interesting.
And I haven't seen anything since I was a teenager. So since we started the podcast, we've been doing a lot of spooky things. And I keep hoping like this is going to like activate my like ghost side again, and I'm going to be able to see things again. And I haven't yet. My friend Melanie is here on the call. This past weekend, we went to a hotel that had a supposed haunting, and we went to the 13th floor that, was the haunted floor. Obviously 13 is auspicious for that. And both of us, she's had experiences too. We were like, certainly, like we're going to like see something.
We have special powers.
We have special powers. Yeah. We're going to for sure see something. No, didn't see anything at all. But I tell this story actually in next week's episode, so I don't know if I should spoil it. Right. Should I spoil it, Alissa?
No.
I kind of think, Mel, what do you think?
Mel, should I spoil the surprise for next week's episode?
Sorry, I was trying. I kind of feel like you should give some some details, friend. It's too
Yeah,
good
I
to-
think so. I think so. You've already hinted because it's so
So-
good, Mel.
When we went up to the 13th floor, it was past midnight. It was very quiet, very dimly lit, and I had my phone recorder out because I was like, I want to hear the ghost when it appears. That doesn't make sense when it appears, but I had my recorder out. We're walking the hallways, and Mel and I don't see anything. We don't see a single thing. And then I am typing up my notes for our recording session for next week. And I'm like, oh, you know what? I had my recorder out. Let me just re-listen to it. And as I'm listening to it, it gets to the end of the recording and I catch an EVP. First of all, I should mention I am horrible at listening to EVPs. I don't know if you've heard the paranormal investigators play EVPs and it's like,
Yeah,
it said Lincoln's bathtub. It said Lincoln's bathtub. I heard nothing. That did not sound like that to me.
And it's an electro voice phenomenon. Is that what
I think so.
We've learned this along the ways. I think
sounds right.
It's something. So it's like a ghost voice, right? EVP.
Yeah. So you can't hear it with the naked ear, but somehow through electronics, it's able to be heard. Clear as a bell, I hear, "Help me." And I was like, what?
I was going to say, are you going to play it? No? You
I
just have to listen. Yeah.
Should I?
Do you think, should we? I think so. I think if you can. So
I'm gonna see if I can get it on my phone, and then I don't know how the audio will listen on Zoom. But
were you trying to communicate with ghosts? Were you talking and saying things, or just walking around?
I don't remember. No, I just listened to it. We did not reach out. We did not say, "Ghost, we are here to talk to you." We didn't say any of that. We were really what was cool about. I don't know if I want to tell the whole story.
You don't have to.
About it. But we went up to the 13th floor because there's some original tile work. And so we saw this tile work and we're like, wow, this is really cool. But no, we did not reach out and say, Spirit, talk to us. We didn't do that. And in hindsight, that probably would have gotten us some more EVP action, but
maybe they're playing hard to get as because you weren't paying attention to them that they're like, oh, I'm going to talk to these two. Maybe.
I really do think there's something about doing this kind of thing late at night too. There's some kind of magic that happens at nighttime that just doesn't occur during the daytime.
Yeah. Has everyone here used a Ouija board before?
I have. Yep. Nothing happened when I used it though, which was probably good because I totally felt like I was going to freak out if something did. I feel like the Ouija is just really toeing the line of evil spirits.
Yeah, a lot of people say don't do it. Yeah. We do it.
You do it together, online together?
So this past summer, I went and visited Alissa in Washington. And so we went to a really spooky place that has had a lot of death, a lot of history. And so we were like, surely this is the place. And it took a while. And we were on there for, probably an hour and a half before the action started. And it wasn't until that sun went down, as soon as it got dark, man, it was on fire. Boom, answering questions left and right. It was pretty wild.
Yeah, it was it was the location where Twin Peaks was filmed. Have you guys seen that show? It was the old mill. So that was all filmed around here. And so the old mill, tons of people died at the old mill. And then there was the doctor of the hospital on site got murdered. And we didn't really know what we were doing. I kind of want to go back. I also didn't want to stop, but then there's that, it's weird to be a bit of a skeptic, but then also be so terrified to, that doesn't align, but I'm like, I don't want to open up a portal and mess with things that we shouldn't be messing with or have it follow me home or something. So
yeah, that we did preface that a lot in our session. We were like, only good spirits. All the bad
Yes.
spirits can just stay away. Don't come near us.
Exactly.
And we talked with our we've got a friend of the podcast, Psychic, who we I've messaged him so many times for like, hey, what do you do when you do Ouija? Or like, hey, what's your opinion on this? But he sort of has like guide points on like, this is a proper way to use Ouija. Do not use it incorrectly or like shit can go real bad. Yeah.
Wait, Britt, were you going to play the EVP? Are you still
All right, you ready? I did. I got it.
You have
Okay.
it? Okay.
And I really hope that this will work. I'm trying to think now where my mic is on my laptop. I guess we'll just, I might have to. Let's see. Mel and I are on the 13th floor. You guys hear this? You can find pool tiles at the end of the hallway. So we're going to investigate. It's after midnight. The pool tiles from the 1920s. They're scratched and cracked, but still here. Yeah, it's almost like they're here and then a wall was built around them. Pool tiles are? No, that's just stair access. It's like the pool is right here. Yeah. Did you guys hear it?
I heard it.
We all went,
So I went ahead and I enhanced the audio for anybody who didn't hear it. So I'm gonna play it. You'll hear it regular again, and then I turn the audio up on it.
Okay.
Did you hear it?
I didn't hear it.
I didn't hear
You
that.
didn't, once I turned it up.
Hey, Britt, it didn't play that time. Just let
Oh,
me
it didn't
know.
play that time?
Uh-uh.
Okay. I wonder where my microphone is here on my laptop. I usually have. Okay, I'm gonna try it again. Did you guys hear it the second time?
I could hear it a little bit, not as clear as the very first time. though.
yeah, the very first time was the clearest for sure.
But yeah, I was pretty blown away when I heard it. I can try to play it again if I know where my microphone is.
Because that's like really clear. Not
Clear,
like
and
jumbled.
I think what solidifies it is that I'm talking and you can hear Mel talking at the same time. And there's this third voice that like wouldn't be mine or hers because we just said things. And so I thought that was pretty wild.
Well,
No,
yeah. Okay, is my mic on? Sorry, I was yelling at children up there.
And Mel, did you feel anything weird that night you guys were there, or hear anything either, or just not what you heard?
Yeah, I've been on the girls' show before, and I've shared my experiences, and I've always told them when I feel something, my eyes tend to water. It's like I want to cry or something. It's really, really strange. But I was pretty brave that night and just poking around, looking at things. I think you kind of heard on that recording that I was looking into like a doorway where it went out to the stairs, and it was dark in there, and I don't know, that's not like me. I'm not that brave, but no, I didn't feel anything. So when I got the news this week of what Britt caught, like that, it kind of freaked me out a little bit to think, oh, I'm just walking around, no big deal, but this female voice person was with us.
Yeah.
Oh, is it female, you think? I couldn't tell if it was.
It sounded female to me, but the story that we had heard on the hotel, the spirit that had appeared was also female. So it was kind of even more solidification of like that ghost story. So it's pretty wild.
Are you allowed to say what hotel it is or where?
Yeah, it's called the Hotel Kansas City. I actually don't know if I think it's just Hotel Kansas City.
Okay.
Yeah. But it's a newer hotel. They just opened their doors 2020. The building is old from the 1920s, but the hotel is just recent. So the fact that they already have a ghost sighting is pretty cool too.
Do they kind of advertise it that they have ghosts at all?
No, not at all.
At all.
Not at all. We rolled. Melanie was with me this past week, and we roll into the hotel, and right away, like it's a historic building, and so I was like, "Oh, there's spooky shit here." And so Melanie literally just walks up to the front desk, and she's like, "Tell me the history of the hotel." All right, now tell me about the ghosts. Just right away, and no hesitation. They were like, "Well, there's this one thing that happened." I almost wonder if it happened.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, regularly, like people ask.
Yeah, that's my MO now too. Most places, like if it looks old and it might have a ghost, I'll be asking. I'm like, so is this haunted? I was in a hotel in Arizona and same thing. And they're like, it's the bar. Like immediately they're like, there's weird stuff that happens in the bar. Like taps just fly off of bottles. And then there's this,
where in Arizona?
It was in, what's that Eagles song? Winslow, Arizona.
Oh, okay.
So, there's like nothing there, but then this like gorgeous 5-star hotel that used to be a trading post, I think, something like that. But there's also this whole town has underground tunnels connecting it. And I don't know, they didn't really know why. They were trying to dig out more rooms in this hotel underground. And I was like, oh gosh, this place must be haunted. I only ate dinner there, so I didn't actually get to stay there and explore. Oh, and then there's, Gina, you would have loved it. It's called, I think it's called La Podesta is the name of the hotel or something like that in Winslow. They have the creepiest art exhibit going on there. It is like, it doesn't match the hotel. The hotel is like the Southwestern stucco place. And then it has some of the creepiest, like it's like dead people, dead celebrities, like artwork in this gallery upstairs. So I thought maybe I would see something up there because I kind of missed the group and I was up there all alone. But yeah, you'd love it. But yeah, it's fun. It makes like, I don't know, it's great icebreaker asking anyone if they've got a ghost story or if this place is haunted. Some people think they're like, well, I'm science-based. This is the answer I get sometimes. I'm like, all right.
There used to be a girl I worked with a couple of years ago, and she had a old house she lived in, which was haunted. And it was mostly kind of friendly-ish, like, lights turning on and off and stuff like that. And then first she showed me pictures. She was outside, kind of walking out in the country. So they're kind of walking out by the garden and stuff. And she took some pictures because they were talking about they were going to get married, her and this guy, whatever. And there's like these bright orbs in the pictures, like not just like sunspots or anything, but they're like bright blue orbs, and they're in different spots in different pictures, and they're really cool. And then she told me that one of the last things that happened that she really freaked out was that she was going to the bathroom, and on the back of the toilet, like they would have, like a couple things on the back, like a Kleenex box and the whatever. And the one thing was something that was with glass. And it was like on this side of her, and she was just sitting there, and all of a sudden that thing smashed against the wall on the opposite side of her, and glass like flew everywhere and stuff. But the thing that was next to it, where it would have had to like jump over, was like still sitting there. Like it wasn't moved. It like didn't go through it, or like it was like it went up and over.
See, that's crazy. Because we hear like,
I mean, if you're gonna poop your pants, I guess that's
the best place to do it.
The most vulnerable when you're sitting on the toilet. The last thing you want with your pants down is to like have it throwing shit. Oh man.
See, I want to see something like that, because you do hear some ghost stories that are like, oh, it was creaking or a door opened and closed, and logicking things like that for me. I'm like, well, it could be a pressure thing. It could be this, it could be that. a glass launching up and breaking against a wall is not pressure. That doesn't just happen.
Like out of nowhere. Yeah.
Yeah. I love those sorts of things. Another one of our favorites is like asking like a family ghost stories and just family lore and stuff. We don't just even tell ghost stories. We're like crypt. We've learned so much. We really had no business starting this podcast like with our knowledge base. I'm like, what's a cryptid? I don't even know. And cryptids
I just figured out. I just found out what that word was this year too.
Okay,
because of a guy I had on one of the Music Creeps. I'm like, oh, cryptid. What the heck's that?
Yeah.
Right? I had no idea. My son knew what it was, but yeah, now we like say EVP, cryptid. You know, we're just know the lingo. We're getting it down.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, we're up for all of it. Like I'm obsessed, like near-death experiences. Like I love those kinds of stories. Britt thinks that means you just almost die at brush with death. Like
I'm learning.
But I'm like, no, you see the light and come back. So just those and like signs from the afterlife or things that like hospice nurses have reported. Like,
yeah,
that's kind of my jam. Or glitches in the matrix. That's like another thing. Like just
that's because it's techie. It sounds techie to you. So.
Maybe, yeah, I guess. Because like the alternate dimension, or like where are these ghosts? Are they in? Is this heaven, or why are they here? Right? You know, is it just a dimensional bleed through, or
why
can't they go on, or whatever to where?
Yeah.
Well, and like I'm fascinated by doppelgangers, having like read several of these experiences where it's like, do we all have double selves that are just like wandering around the planet and like we just don't know about it? But if you do see your own doppelganger, then like get ready to die, because that's what happens.
Get ready.
Britt, did you see? I posted. You probably didn't see it yet, but there's a post in Creeptastics I just put on like a few days ago or this past week of this guy that takes pictures of all these people and their doppelgangers. Did you see it?
Oh no, I haven't seen it yet. I'll have to check.
Like some of them are like identical. It's really, really creepy.
Yeah, it's so wild.
Yeah, I thought they were twins, and then it's like, oh wait, these are just strangers that they've like matched up. That
there's a whole website that I think it's called like Find Your Double or Doppelganger might be the website or something. And the whole thing is you post your face up and you're like, who looks like me? Where's my double? It's silly.
Did we try to do that? I can't remember. I vaguely remember it. Like so much comes our way. I think I did it.
Well, that people call that a doppelganger, but like
I didn't know about the thing that you're supposed to die if you see one.
Well, so those are just kind of lookalikes that people call doppelgangers. The true sense of the original term is it's almost like it is a being that appears, but they're not it's actually you, but it's not you. Like it's most people who witness it, it's somebody who's like, I saw my daughter and she was sitting at the kitchen table and I kept trying to talk to her. And you're like, Cynthia, why did you do your homework? What's going on? And it's almost like they're on a different plane of existence. They can't hear, they won't interact. And then they just vanish. And then the real daughter walks in, you know, an hour later, and they're like, "Why weren't you?" You know, it's always never the same person. It's some strange double person. I don't know.
And oftentimes they'll look like kind of like gray and sickly or something too.
Yeah, not quite right.
Yeah. And then the following week they die in a car accident or something like that. Is the stories? Oh, I'm getting.
I don't see mine.
Yeah, right. Like that again. I'd love to see someone who looks exactly like me. That sounds that sounds cool and freaky. But then you end up dying if it happens.
I don't think I do.
You don't? I don't know. There's not a lot of 6'3".
I don't think I look the way I actually look. When people are like, "Oh, this person looks just like you," I'm always like, "Oh God, that's not good." This is the thing I don't want to know.
You better be telling me they look hot, right? You can't believe how hot they are.
Yeah.
Oh, that's supermodel. Sure. I'll take that.
Yeah. So what do you guys have to do for planning for your podcast? Do you spend hours of like research and things, or is it more just like on the fly, winging it kind of stuff?
Depends on the week.
It definitely depends on the week.
Yeah. if it's all about getting the stories. So like on a great week, oh man, there was this beautiful magical week where I was like, what should we do this week? And then boom, 2 emails of people sending in stories, and it's like, yes. And so it was so easy that week. It was like, great. And then other times we will have to like contact people online, and we're literally just like digging for stories like, I've heard you had an experience. What happened? Can I use your story? And so those do tend to take a little while longer, finding the juice, the good stuff.
Yeah, next door. And then like, well, also if it's a place, like you do have to do a little more research, or if there is a backstory for whatever you're doing. Sometimes we'll just read like, I think, yeah, like one I think recently was finding a really cool story, and then all the stories in the comments section was like fire. I forget what it was.
It was the kids. It was the kids like
kids saying creepy things or something.
Yeah, somebody's kid said some really creepy thing, and then it was like so many other people's kids have said the creepiest stuff. Oh, I love those. I can't get enough of those stories.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then and then we'll do like Skelettalks is what we call them too. And then we'll have people on, and that's where Mel was on. And we just had one of Britt's friends who is a Hollywood effects artist on for like, he does stuff for, what were we allowed to say?
I think, well, we can tell his Legacy FX, I think, is where, but yeah, they do Mandalorian there. They do Guardians of the Galaxy, all the Star Wars stuff. Like they, he
cool
told me I'm not allowed to tell you plot stuff, but I can tell you like what we're working on.
Yeah.
So he was harder to pin down because he's just like a busy guy. So yeah. But, and then we will, it really depends on the week and how busy we are, but I'm sure everyone's like that. Oh, next week we'll be a little less busy soon here. It never happens. We're like, it's always like, go. Cause we both have like little kids too. And that's just another wild card that always gets thrown into the mix. Actually, that's one of our episode ideas soon. We're just going to let the kids take over the podcast and do an episode. We're kind of just, like, we don't have we're not a super scripted, it's not something we're sitting there and reading like, and then the man walked into the room and the ghost jumped from, it's, we're very improv it, I suppose. As far as like the episodes go.
And Britt, do you have a job outside of this then, I'm assuming?
I'm a graphic designer. My bread and butter is doing wedding invitations, oddly, which isn't related to podcasting or spooky stuff at all. So I do that, and then I run a stationery business selling greeting cards and notebooks, stickers, that kind of stuff.
Like on an Etsy page or on something else?
So I have a website. I'm on Etsy. I'm on Amazon. It's all online stuff. I used to do shows around Austin, but that got to be just too annoying, honestly. So I stopped.
That's
so
where
I
you
just
live,
do online.
Austin?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, cool. I always wanted to go to Austin. Haven't been there yet.
Where are you located at?
I'm in central Wisconsin. So.
Oh, cool.
Way up north in the cold.
Gosh, it's got to be really cold. We're complaining that it's 20 degrees here in Austin, and that's probably like an October afternoon for you guys.
A little colder than that.
You guys have a creature in Wisconsin, a cryptid. My husband, he teaches a driving school up there every winter, except for the COVID, and he brought the kids home this little like, what is it called? Is
it a hodag or something?
Yes. It's one of those.
What is that? I've never heard of it.
Do you know the story of it?
Well, from Rhinelander, the hodag, is that what it is?
I think it's like kind of it looks like dragon-ish, like, and then it has like horns.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't really know how that got started, but like all the teams from Rhinelander are all called the hodags, and then they have a big hodag festival and all this kind of stuff up there. So I don't really know the story of how it got started. If there was actually something behind it, like a cryptid thing, I don't know. You
Oh,
know?
that's so fun.
No, I just know that like that was the threat the whole like time he's there is like, oh, everything gets blamed on the hodag. If anything's going missing, it's the hodag, or watch out, the hodag will get you, you know, like that's just the kind of looming creature that will, you know, snatch everything pretty much. But I don't know much of it.
Wisconsin, I have to say I'm a little proud of Wisconsin, how many creepy things we have, like with, you know, like murders and stuff.
Oh,
like we have Jeffrey Dahmer, we have Ed Gein, we have all these crazy. Actually, one of my classmates in high school, and they did it on My Favorite Murder. They did a story on it. There was a guy in my class in high school that has been in jail for a long time for murdering a bunch of these people. From Athens, Wisconsin, the Coons family, they were called. And they were these people that all, like this family, they all kind of lived together. It was like older, like sisters and brothers and kids.
Yes,
and it was like a lot of weird
story.
ancestral things going on and real dirty, nasty, like conditions. And
you went to school with one of them?
No, I went with the killer guy. He was in my class. Yeah.
So it wasn't someone in the family that was a killer. It was someone else who came in and killed the family.
Well, so I mean, that's what I don't know that they ever had. I mean, he did get convicted, so I don't know if they ever had enough evidence to actually like there were tire tracks in the yard and stuff. But he said he had gone there to I don't know if he was going to sell a guy his car or look at a car they had for sale or something like that. So there was like, you know, weird stuff like that. But I have a book on it. I've started to read. I haven't read the whole thing yet to see if I really believe. I didn't know the guy well. He wasn't like in my group or anything, but I mean, he was always, you know, it was a small school. My school was like 180 kids in my class. So.
Oh, that sounds familiar, but I'm not sure. It's okay. No, maybe I'm confusing that Making a Murderer. Have you seen that? Like, that?
Oh yeah, that's Wisconsin too.
Okay.
Oh my God.
Oh my God. Well, that's like Washington. I didn't know, like I live in Seattle area, east of Seattle, and I didn't know like all these murderers. Like there's a lot of serial killers from here, like the Green River murderer and Ted Bundy. And actually it was on an episode. We're plugging My Favorite Murder hard here tonight. It was on an episode. Girls. I know, right? So it was on. I was listening to the Ted Bundy episode of that, and I had no idea. Like literally, he was like on my street. Like he would drive up and down my street, and we'd gone for a hike on this place, Taylor Mountain. That's literally like 5 minutes from my house, and it was a super creepy hike. I got like bad vibes from it. On the way up there, I was like, Mitch, that's my husband. I was like, I am not a fan of this hike. Like, I don't like it. I love hiking. I love outdoors. This was not for me. And I was like super happy to leave. And then later come find out that that's where like he had put these poor girls, that their dump site is like right there. And Lake Sammamish State Park is right down the road from me. Like I had a moment of like freak out paranoia. Cause like apparently he targeted women with long dark hair that parted their hair in the center. I was like, I gotta cut my hair. I'm gonna dye my hair. Like there's a copycat, but yeah, that's some freaky stuff. We've dabbled a little bit in we have a episode that we recorded, but we
one episode.
It was very hard for us to climb out of that whole, like once dark. We went in, we're just like, okay. So
it takes a certain type of person for sure. We never aired that episode either. Just because we got to the end and we were like, I feel gross right now. Like just like, even though both of us listen to like murdery podcasts, actually like diving in. And I think also a lot had to do is we chose stories that were kind of personal to us. Like mine was my uncle and hers was a guy she went to college with. And so it was just like, it just feels like icky. I don't know.
like
Yeah.
we knew too much or something is how it
Yeah.
felt. 'Cause I
Too
lived with the
personal.
guy and
Yeah.
like, yeah, it
You
was
couldn't-
just like,
you couldn't just like make jokes about it, like
yes,
to kind of
exactly.
ease the tension or anything. Yeah.
Yeah, it was very hard to get out of once we got into it. So
It's kind of crazy how, I mean, I'm sure probably a lot of people, maybe most people know somebody that was murdered or close relative of someone murdered or a murderer, you know, that type of thing.
Yeah.
Like when I think about it, like there's a few people that I know that were involved either one way or the other. Kind of
that's
crazy
sort of
to
how
think
it
about
went.
how
Wow.
many people in the world have gone through this or, crazy.
Yeah. See, I only have one story, and it's from my great uncle. It's not even my close uncle. But Alissa was listening. Well, you had like
I
6
was
or
like,
7.
yeah, I'm like, oh
This
yeah,
guy
and then
was
there's this
shot.
guy.
Like,
It's
you had all. I was like, how do you know so
I
many
don't know.
murders? But I think
Yeah.
you're right, though. I think it's more common than we
Yeah.
give it credit for.
For sure.
Yeah.
So
I had a kid in my class that was murdered. And then there was a couple years older than me that was murdered, like all when I was like in high school or
Wow.
well, he was murdered after high school, but he was in my class. Yeah. So yeah, it's weird.
it's
Now that
freaky.
you mention it, I did go to high school with a kid who was murdered, but it wasn't a very exciting story. He was a drug dealer and then got shot. Like that
Yeah.
was really the end of it. The end. Fun story.
Yeah, mine's a little more crazy than that, but I won't go into it right now. It's kind of a downer.
Another time, maybe when we're
Yeah.
Yeah,
But I am curious.
I know. I thought mine was fascinating because my roommate was like a genius. He like was the junior Nobel Prize winner at MIT, and then he just but he was odd. And then he ended up like shooting his wife like 18 times. And he had like everything. He was so smart, but it was also like, I lived with this guy for 2.5 years. It was just crazy.
That's crazy. Yeah.
But I think that sort of thing is also like what makes those experiences is what made me interested in this kind of, it fascinates you a little bit, what does make people do that, or just I trend dark. And I think probably those experiences that I've had have influenced that, or the fear of the unknown. I'm more concerned about real people than I am ghosts. I'll be honest with that. When I'm walking out in the woods and mountain lions, I'm like scared of the people who are like going to jump out, but not a ghost. A ghost should be welcome. I shouldn't be so afraid of that.